1. My name is Rhea Jain, and I'm from the AAUW Fremont Branch. I wish I didn't look like this. I'll never be as pretty as her. I just shouldn't eat today. These are all thoughts that I've heard my friends, my classmates, and myself echo over and over. People told me that being insecure was normal. It was part of being a teenage girl. But was it normal to feel as if I was worth nothing because of the way that I looked, or the way other people wanted me to look? Then, as I grew older, I began to get suspicious of something I thought was influencing it. As more and more of my friends entered high school and downloaded social media, I saw their personalities change to match the ones they saw on their screens. Suddenly, their image of themselves, especially their bodies, became subject to the judgment of influencers and strangers on the internet. That's why, when I found the topic, has social media helped or hindered the breaking down of barriers for women and girls, I couldn't help but think to myself that we, as advocates for gender equality, should be asking ourselves a much more prevalent question. Is social media really the cause of all of the problems that we see? Or is it a side effect of a much greater issue? And can it ultimately end up solving for these issues themselves? When it comes to social media, women are the target of so much hatred and negativity. I have found that a singular angry comment from an anonymous user can make you feel worse than a dozen giving you shallow compliments, telling you that you have to look like the models who are literally starving themselves to be beautiful. The average model in the United States is 20% underweight. So how do we expect ourselves to look like that? Studies show that repeatedly exposing yourself to social media often results in the acceptance of these portrayals as reality, which means that women always want to conform to this ideal of a thin figure. But this is crazy because it means that even when we know something is not true, we still want to follow it anyway. So how do we solve for a problem that society has created for us? I draw upon my own personal examples to reflect this. When I was a freshman in high school, I am ashamed to say that I often felt intimidated by all of the older, confident, prettier girls. And I thought to myself, they can't be that pretty, or they aren't nearly as nice as everyone says, because I was too afraid of facing my own insecurities. But beauty is not a competition, and it does not define who you are. Social media was just another outlet, another side effect for seeing this and allowing myself to internalize this negativity. So, when it comes to social media, we must learn that no one should be forced to feel as if they don't belong, rather than allowing people to tear down our best friends, girlfriends, fellow women. We should be building them up in the face of overwhelming patriarchy to spread the message that women are so much more than their looks. But even within all of this toxicity, there is still a bright side. According to a Pew Research Center study, approximately 75% of the women who asked for help on social media reported receiving it, especially when they were going through a tough time. Not only this, but with the growing number of body-positive influencers, I see people using their platforms for good. And I see girls every day gaining confidence in things such as their skin color, height, weight, body size, when previously they were insecure about those things. And it gives me hope. Hope for a future where women see themselves as normal and human rather than objects. But the future can go beyond individual women. 1 in 4 women are still sexually assaulted at least once in their lives. Yet, thanks to the growing influence of social media, gender equality and women's rights activists have been at an all-time high. The hashtag #MeToo movement was a worldwide conversation that was needed in order to talk about the dangers of sexual violence. And it directly led to the creation of many policies preventing discrimination and harassment in the workspace. Not only this, but organizations such as dedicated to feminism, such as empowering women through STEM or the government, make me see that little girls are being inspired to become scientists instead of supermodels, or politicians instead of princesses. So before we are quick to condemn social media, we must take into account its global impact. Ultimately, we have seen that social media has had good and bad things. But which one is it? Which one is it more of? The answer is that it's not quite so simple. As social media influences us, the young generation, more and more in our lives, it's impossible to deny how much of an impact it's had on us. Social media has caused women to doubt themselves, but also to lift each other up. It's caused them to lay themselves raw about traumatic experiences. But all change. We, as allies of women, must use social media for good, to lift up our fellow women during hardship. Ultimately, social media can be the cause of many of these problems, but it can also be the solution. Thank you.